Hello and welcome to Profiles in Risk. This is your host, Tony Cañas, and today I have with me David Embry, CEO at Mylo. David, thank you for joining me today. How's it going?
Good. Thanks for having me today, Tony. Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you. According to LinkedIn, you are based in KC, Kansas City.
Yeah, Chiefs fan.
Uh,
There we go.
Fantastic. My brother is going to KU right now. Uh,
Oh,
so, so
really? That's about 45 minutes down the road, so not far at all.
So over the last year, I've spent a good amount of time in Lawrence, and yeah, Casey is a nice area. So we are recording on September 25th. I happen to be in Indianapolis today for Inditech in a random Starbucks in Indianapolis because it happened to have the best combination of Wi-Fi and decent lighting, so that we could record today. Over here, it's beautiful for late September. I'm guessing Casey's the same
Yeah,
story.
we have fall here for sure. I was in Tampa, flew down Sunday, was there yesterday. I got out just in front of the hurricane. So we wish our friends in Tampa well.
Yes, no kidding about that. So we always give the guest a chance to give the elevator pitch. What is Mylo?
What is Mylo? Mylo is a digital agency. We started our business inside a big global insurance broker, a top 10 global insurance broker, and then raised some outside capital and bought management, and our investor bought out our business from that. And today we operate, it's super simple. We focused on the underserved, high volume, low premium transactions for commercial lines, personal lines, a little bit of benefits. And we use technology to make that super efficient, right? So we've got 60,000 clients in 48 states, right? We do give or take $4 million new premium a month, all small commercial, Main Street personal lines, and that's I said a little bit of benefits. And then from a technology standpoint, we do some really simple things like make transactions simple, right? Things that aren't cool, but really make us more efficient because our average premium is about $2,500 per client. So we have to be efficient, but we want to provide an awesome experience. So how do we do that? We use technology to not ask questions we should already know the answer to, not do double entry, and ultimately make the buying of insurance as simple as possible for the potential insured. The value add is that we use technology, algorithms, layering machine learning on top of it, getting smarter for simple stuff to make recommendations around what coverage should somebody have given their specific situation and what carrier has appetite and do we want to recommend to that potential insured. And we do that on a scale basis. And we're trying to increase the efficiency that we can drive volume through our agency, but at the same time, really answer the question for individuals and small business owners, like what coverage do I need, right? We know what failure is. Failure is if somebody calls us and we ask them, or online, because you can go online to our embedded websites and our partners' ecosystems or the web. And if we have to ask them what coverage do you need, right, that's exactly the thing that they're paying us to do. And that's what we want to start with.
Okay, so InsurTech 1.0, we saw a lot of options for quoting, but largely they were price based, uh,
For sure.
which is helpful, but are we getting them the right coverage, right? So you mentioned that, or I understood, correct me if I'm wrong, that the platform is significantly focused on getting the right coverage.
For sure. I think our industry has done a huge disservice, right? With the commercials on TV, say 15% in 10 minutes or, 20% in 25 minutes or, only pay for what you need. I understand it's jingles and you're trying to get in somebody's head and build a brand, but the fact of the matter is, I know, every agent, anybody that can think knows, I can save you money by reducing your coverage, increasing your deductible, taking things out, right? And so what we focus on is making the coverage recommendation. Given my specific situation, what coverage do I need? Right. And then we understand because we also represent the carriers, right? What do they have appetite for? And how do we match those things together in a way that, number one, ensures that the potential insured, tricky to say, gets gets the coverage they need, and then also make sure that they pay a fair price for that coverage, but maybe not the cheapest price, right? Because we also have other indicators that we look at carriers around retention rate, customer satisfaction, claims. We ask some buyer value questions on the front end around what somebody's trying to get to. Because as you know, I always use this analogy. The worst thing the worst investment that you make in anything is insurance, right? Because the best thing that can happen is you spend thousands or tens of thousands of dollars over years, right, to pay for something that, in the best case scenario, you don't use, right? And so if you're a small business owner, you didn't get in the business to buy insurance, right? And so, what do? You get a stack of documents that thick, right? You have two worries, right? One, am I paying too much? Two, when the bad thing happens, am I going to have the coverage that I need? And that's our job. And we want to do that at scale, and we want to do that using technology to make it consistent across all of the tens of thousands of recommendations that we make a year.
Okay. And so if I'm not mistaken, the original Mylo was exclusively direct to consumer, but
We were
now
never direct to consumer.
no.
So when we started, my original thesis, like just by way of
Mhm.
background, at JP Morgan
Perfect.
for about 20 years, I was in the retirement business, and I ran that business for a portion of time, and then we combined it with another large provider, and that's when I went to do some work for another business that's tangentially in this space, got to know the people that invested in this business. And started this business. So day one, it was just me, right? We've grown it over time. We've been around for about 10 years. We'll have our 10th anniversary of Mylo
Congratulations.
next year, which is, um, in some ways, it seems like 100 years. In other ways, it seems like 10 minutes, right? So, I guess that's life. But part of our original thesis, to get to your point, was that we can't compete with Peyton Manning's Town and the Gecko and Flow, right? We're not going to build a brand, right? One of the most expensive keywords on the internet is insurance. And so from day one, our thought process was that we could take our capabilities and put them in our customers' ecosystems, right? And I should have patented the word or trademarked the word embedded back in the day, because that's what we did. We didn't call it that, but that has been our go-to-market strategy from day one. So we've got about 60 partners, where we take our capabilities and we plug in our appetite guides, et cetera. Today it really is a widget that they just put in their ecosystem. And they do their business, and they have clients who need insurance for one reason or another. And when they do, that information ports over to our system. They use, from a website standpoint, Riley, it really is sort of the store window, right? To give them some advice, some recommendation. Right now, almost everything that we do is in our call center. And that's not because we couldn't bind some things online, right? But it's hard to bind the right bundles across multiple carriers online today. I think we'll get there, right? As an industry, we've made huge strides. Insurance carriers have made huge strides allowing that to happen, but we're not quite there yet. And so, ultimately, that information sits on the same chassis that our agents use, the Agent Hub stuff, and we're making consistent recommendations. And that's been our go-to-market strategy from a acquisition standpoint, from day one. And we get 20,000 plus leads a month from the partners that we're plugged into those ecosystems. We've got some deep relationships with some of the exchanges that are out there, so we can get specific types of risks that we want, right, for our portfolio. And that's the way that we go about doing that. But we've never been direct to consumer, and don't have an expertise, and really don't want to make that long tail investment. And not sure that it's worth it economically. I think if you look back when we started this business, there were a lot of firms that did that, just focused on direct to consumer. And ultimately, the payback period on that type of business is just a long, long time. We didn't think that that was the way that made sense for us to spend our money.
So the 60 partners are platforms outside of the insurance space, and you guys
Yeah, for
provide.
the most part, we have some partners that are agencies, small
Mhm.
agencies that we provide additional access that for either products or carriers they can't get. But for the most part, it's the agencies, and then it is think small business lenders, think HR um, portals for employees, right, to get access to information. Think mortgage companies, right? Organizations, companies that start businesses, right? Think about companies who have ecosystems who are doing something else for these people, but as a part of that transaction, they do or should review their insurance or need or have an insurance need, and that's where we plug ourselves into those. And then our third distribution is through these exchanges that have specific types of risks, specifically on the commercial side, where we can embed ourselves in their ecosystem and cost effectively add some volume to the agency on a monthly basis.
Okay. What is Mind of Mylo?
Mind of Milo is the thing that differentiates us from, I think, everybody else. And again, AI is the new buzzword, and I think it's real, right? In terms of automated recommendations, we started with the Mind of Milo about a decade ago. And it really was, how can we make consistent recommendations around coverage and carrier across our platform, right? So no matter who you talk to, you're not getting David Embry or Tony's recommendation, you're getting Mylo's recommendation. And it started out just literally taking an insurance expert and building an algorithm that said, if you have this set of circumstances, here's the coverage you need, right? And then understanding what the carrier's appetite was and directing them to that. And then, we've done so many quotes and have so many clients that we now are learning machine learning on it, and it's getting more automated. I will say this, right? The simpler it is, the easier it is to automate, right? The more complex it is, the harder it is to automate, right? So if you think about, broadly speaking, the spectrum of insurance that we go to these conferences and talk to lots of people, and insurance technology means a lot of different things to a lot of different people, but if you're doing pet insurance, if you're doing phone insurance, if you're doing travel insurance, it's super easy, right? If you're doing, somebody that's got a few locations and 50 people, and it's not necessarily so easy, right? And carrier appetite changes, and so that's sort of the spectrum. I think the thing is learning, right? The algorithm is getting better, and I will say this. Like, this isn't like a come to our website and do all of this and don't talk to anybody, right? Regardless of how somebody interacts with us, they get the same recommendations. And whether that's online, on their phone, talking to somebody on the phone, the recommendation engines are consistent across our entire platform.
And what is Amplify?
Amplify is the platform that we use ourselves, and then we've got a couple of other agencies that are taking advantage of the thing that we built. We were part of the big national broker, right? Offering our capability to somebody else that was a small broker, right? It was not really a possibility. And since we now own our own business, right, with investors, solving this problem, broadly speaking, is something that we think is a differentiator, right? We've proved that we can do it at scale, and other people have the same problem. I don't care what agency you talk to, they've got a number of smaller clients, whether it's personal lines or commercial lines, or they focus on personal lines, but their personalized clients have commercial lines business, where it's just hard to be an expert at everything, right? And our thesis is our platform can be deployed to solve that problem for them and help them operate at scale. And for us, we've already built it. So the more volume we can run across it, the better off we are.
Okay, so now that you're not part of one specific broker, now that you're independent, and you've opened the gates for for the other 40,000 independent agencies to come through the platform.
Or even large agencies that are trying to figure out how do I do the high volume, low premium stuff at scale with a quality experience for the individual or small business owner, right? Because if you look at large agencies, like they have this big thing and they can throw a bunch of people at it and make it really complex. Well, they also get small clients because they go to church with somebody, play golf with somebody, their kids go to school, etc. They all have a lot of it, right? Well, if you could do that in a way, whether we do it for you from an outsource standpoint, or you use the technology to do it, like that just helps everybody scale, and it helps you point your expensive people resources at where they should be, but provide a great service or great recommendations for everybody across the board.
Okay, so if I'm an agency or a brokerage and we don't have at this point a good way to handle small commercial, which agreed, it's endemic in our industry that we don't have a good way to handle small commercial, and everybody has a bunch of it. Especially if they're focused on middle market, they're going to collect a bunch of small commercial that the producers don't even get paid on.
That's right.
So how do we get on the platform? What does that process look like?
We can do one of two things, right? We can like be your back office so you can focus on the thing that you want, send the stuff over to us, we close it on your behalf. And then, and then it's your client, right? We do it, we get paid for doing it. Or you can license the technology, right? And do the things that you want to do, right? And then simply hit a button. If you can't do it or don't want to do it, we can do it for you. It's, really super simple. Like I said, we do tens of thousands of transactions every year on our own platform. And so making it multi-tenant and pushing it out into the world is a pretty easy extension. In fact, we call it the extension strategy of what we have done for our own agency.
Okay.
And we're in the nascent stages of doing that.
Fantastic.
But we do think that there is an opportunity and a need, right, in the marketplace to help other people like solve the same problem we're trying to solve. And the market's big enough that like nobody's going to own, 2% of it, 1% of it, 0.5%.
Small
right?
commercial market is gigantic, like absolutely gigantic. What about the servicing of the business? Once it is written?
Yeah, so we think about it two ways, right? There are things that like a carrier can efficiently service in their service center, right? Like if it's BOP with a carrier, right? You don't really need to touch that. We can be an escalation point for that client if there's an issue with the carrier. And quite frankly, no matter what, if you do claims, especially on the small end, you're gonna get sent to the carrier to do that claim anyway. And then, as you move up market or up complexity, so multiple carriers, right? We do that service. And then, like excess and surplus, so the larger end or the more complex end of small business, right? We do that as well. But the same technology around recommendations and when should you talk to somebody and requoting, which is where, a lot of things take a lot of time. Right? We layer the same technology and give that to our service providers as well. And then we use, algorithms around like, you have this question around, should you just let things auto renew, right? Or should you reach out to somebody? And we've built algorithms to try to figure out who it makes sense to reach out to. And, who's going to be okay. And then so we have different service models or different things that we do around automated emails, proactive call outs, et cetera, based on where somebody is, what their experience is, how high, do rates go up, et cetera, do their needs change? And again, we're trying to take the complex, right, and have the system like make the recommendations so that we're make sure everybody has the right coverage, right, but doing it in a way that allows a business like ours to scale that's focused on the smaller end of small commercial.
Okay. The the client today, and in small commercials especially, lots and lots of businesses owned by the younger generations, by my millennials, and now even some Gen Zers. So those are groups that demand an omni-channel approach, right? That don't want to have to call on the phone, don't want to come in person. Uh, how, how does the platform help agents provide that omni-channel approach?
Yeah, I mean, so you want to be able to give people the information, the same information, regardless of how they interact with you, right? There's a bit of a barrier, right? Because we're a multi-carrier platform and not every carrier has the same capabilities. Um, and even within carriers, right? For instance, on personal lines, like a lot of people, you could do auto only, but if you want to bundle auto plus home, much harder. If you want to bundle auto plus home plus umbrella, impossible right now, right? And so, um, I think that, like I said earlier, the world's moving that way. Like we're participating as the world moves that way. I think there will be a day when more things can be done completely online without having to talk to somebody. And the way that we think about software development and development of our capabilities is to be able to deliver whatever capabilities we can to the consumer as far as we can, given limitations of the business that we're in. And we've already seen huge movement. Like when I first started this business, we had a big carrier that came in and said, we'll never let somebody quote and bind online for a small commercial. And that was a decade ago. And they've probably invested more money than anybody else in the space to ultimately get there. And then, and COVID happened and that exacerbated that. And people got used to buying things online. They didn't buy online. Right. And so the world's moving that way. And those that know me have heard this analogy a million times. It's like surfing a wave, right? You can never catch the break unless you're out there surfing. That's where we are right now, right? And has it completely, is the wave completely broken and made a truly digital transaction happen across the board in insurance? No, right? Is it moved further along? Absolutely. The simpler it is, like I said before, pet insurance, travel insurance, maybe single GL, maybe auto, like that stuff's pretty easy. But if you had any complexity at all, right, you really need somebody to give more advice, and even the carriers won't let you do all of the binding online, et cetera. But we're getting there, right? We're moving there, and we'll see that. And I do think that the day is not too far in advance where you will have more of that up to a certain level of complexity. And I agree with you. I've got two kids. They've never talked to anybody. They didn't have to, right? Certainly not for something like insurance. And so, that is the, true north. That is where we're going. But I also will tell you, Tony, the agent's not going away, right? We see this because we actually had some capabilities to do some things online directly straight through. And people would like go all the way through and they would hover over the bind button, right? And then they would call us, right? Why? Because they're scared and I don't want to make a decision. Do I have the right coverage? Because you don't know until something happens. And that's where, I think there's still, a level of trust that talking to somebody, whether that's, another agent or our agent or somebody at the carrier, gives people confidence that they're spending their money wisely on the thing that they want to have in place in case something bad happens.
After like 7 years of running the podcast and nearly 600 episodes, or the point this comes out, it'll be over 600 episodes. Biggest thing we've noticed is the move where away from disintermediating the agent towards enabling the agents, because it's very, very, very clear that the agent is not going anywhere. They own the client, and people want to be served in an efficient way in the channel they want to be served, but they want a human who understands this stuff, especially commercial lines.
And especially as it gets more complex, right? How do I know what I need, right? The more recommendation we can give to them. How do I know what care I need to go to? What phone number do I call when something happens, right? So that's the value that agents, including our own, provide.
Yep. Today at Inditech, Chris with Big Eye uh, Technology something, part of the Big Eye, the technology side
Yeah.
of the Big Eye, shared some numbers, and 62% of all premium is controlled by agents, and 80+% of commercial lines premium, and that number has been growing. So
Yeah, I'm
yeah,
surprised it's that low. I would think it would be much higher because again, if you go directly to an insurance company, you might be able to find something, right? Is it everything that you need? No, right? Many times it's not. And how are you going to compare multiple carriers, right? And be able to bind with the one that you pick online because not every carrier can do it. And even within carriers, they don't do it across products, right? But as I said, I think the industry is moving in the right direction, right? We're way better than we were 5 years ago, a million times better than we were 10 years ago. And we'll get there.
fantastic. Where does my own technology as an agent have to be able to connect? Uh,
It's really super simple. It's all, SaaS based. We can put it in there. It can be a plugin for Salesforce if you use Salesforce. It can be a standalone recommendation engine. We can hook you up to your um, carrier codes for the ones that you do, right? Like I said, you enter the information once, it goes to your thing, recommendations for the stuff that you do. If you don't, and we're your backstop on stuff, it comes over to us and we do it on behalf, right? The same key philosophies that we have for ourselves around don't make people enter twice, make proactive recommendations, right? Understand the carrier's appetite and from the carrier panel that you have, and everybody has a different carrier panel, every agency does. Those are consistent whether we do it for ourselves or we're doing it for somebody else. And like I said, we've done hundreds of thousands of quotes and we have tens of thousands of clients. And so we've done it at scale. And, we also understand that if you're a small agency and you're going to use our technology, if you've got a big lift to deploy it from a technology standpoint, it's never going to happen. And so that's the way that we built it. I mean, you could
Fantastic.
literally have um, the capability to do recommendations, not necessarily transactional, but recommendations on a website for a small agency in about 10 minutes, right? And they show up on your thing. You can process them in the agent hub. So you're not entering the information twice, right? If you can do it, you do it. If you want us to do it, we do it. It's very slick.
Fantastic. What is the pricing like?
We're still in the beta phase, right? So we're still trying to figure out exactly how to do that, right? Ultimately, what I'd like to do is, and then I believe there'll be such a big lift, right, on the back end in terms of how much they can process, et cetera, that I'd like to take a percentage of that lift. But we're still working on, ultimately, um, how we price that in the marketplace.
Okay, so at this point, is it a sign up for a waiting list to get into the beta, or at this point?
Yeah, so if somebody's interested, they can certainly, find us at choosemelo.com and reach out to us and we would talk to them. The beta, it'll run for, I don't know, however long till we figure out and we put in production. I don't know when beta stops and production actually starts, especially since our biggest client is ourselves. So we're continuing to make investments in the capability ourselves. But it is pretty good. It's pretty neat, and we'd love to show it to anybody that has the desire to check it out.
Awesome. When this goes live, I'll tag both you and the company on LinkedIn. First of all, thank you for building it. Congrats on building it, and I, I agree. The right move is removing it from the one broker and making it available to the rest of the industry. Uh, we definitely need the right platform, the right efficient platform for small commercial. and other transactional business. So this is very exciting. Very excited to get you on the podcast during this period of transition. And yeah, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Tony. Hope to meet you in person sometime. Otherwise, have fun in Indianapolis and stay safe. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.